Yes, Andy is sitting the other side of the room here with, and hopefully we sound normal again, more or less anyway, Jane, Tracy and Alice, the Marine Girls. Right, it's all yours, mate.
Welcome. Welcome indeed. It's really nice for you to come in, actually. Now, it's a terrible thing about it, the girl groups at the moment, aren't there? Quite a lot around, I mean, people like Banana Armour and things like that. Is it terribly annoying for you to be lumped together with them, though, yeah?
Well, we are a girl group.
Yeah.
But,
But there's an assumption, I suppose, in there that you play the same sort of music almost, isn't there?
well, it's not true.
No.
I don't know why people do lump us together.
Well,
It's just because we're girls, it's quite ridiculous.
I suppose the equivalent would be sort of comparing Queen with Depeche Mode because they had to be blokes or something like that.
Yeah, it is. It's the same. People don't do it with blokes, but they tend to do it with girls. I don't know why.
What sort of bands or groups would you like to be grouped together with? Is there anyone in particular that you feel you're part of the same movement together with? I think?
Not for me.
no, I mean, obviously there's bands we admire, but
Who would they be then, in fact?
bands that we admire.
Yeah, just to, I mean, it's just
Well, it's
interesting, I
com-
think,
it's
to see your
different.
backgrounds, that's all.
It's
Yeah.
different.
Well, two real favourites of mine have
Yeah.
always been The Clash and The Specials.
I can tell a musical influence there.
I mean, it shines through, doesn't it?
I like bands like Southern Death Cult and Theatre of Hate.
Mm. So Queen, yeah, very different backgrounds, different styles of music, certainly. Now, you're playing gigs at the moment, aren't you? But that's you're not doing that all the year round. Well, perhaps you better explain why.
Because we're spread about the country.
It's just basically because Tracy lives in Hull, Jane
Yeah.
lives in Brighton, and I live in Hatfield, so it is difficult.
So how on earth did you get together in the first place?
Well, we all lived kind of virtually next door to
Mm.
each other, and then we spread apart.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, isn't it, that it's the studies that have sort of split the group up temporarily, at least, in terms of Tracy, you're studying at university in Hull, is that the case? Yeah. And what are you doing in Brighton?
Art.
Art. So how do you
Art.
how do you mix? How do you manage to mix the time when you have to study with these live appearances? It must be quite a nightmare sometimes.
No, it's not really, actually. I mean, I'm quite happy to just do a few gigs. I think I'd really hate to kind of play loads of gigs and stuff. I think it's quite good. We get quite a choice from it.
I wonder what the purpose is of doing the studies. Is it because you want something to back up your performance side, or is?
No, it's something that I do. I mean, I'm not going to be a professional musician. This is what I want to do. I want to study art. And
So
do
this
art.
is a bit of fun then, in a way, but which you do seriously, but which is a hobby still.
I don't know if it's a hobby. I mean, we are very serious about it, but not kind of career-wise, I don't think. Well, not me personally, anyhow.
I can imagine loads of people think to themselves that you can't really make a go of it at all unless you take it totally seriously, because that's what everybody says, isn't it? You obviously don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true.
No.
No. I mean, I don't think you can survive if you take it totally seriously.
I think you go nuts, do you, after a while?
I'm not nuts. You just be
You can't
sucked
take everything
into kind of-
serious like that. I mean, if you get slagged off in the papers or something, you can't take that seriously. The same as if someone praises you, you can't take that seriously either.
I've got an ambition. I'd like to see if Tracy can say something. Hello, Tracy. Do you enjoy being up in Hull? I mean, using Hull as a basis, as a base for what you do. It must be a little bit cut off up there, Tracy.
It's nice sometimes to get away from hecticness of London, but it is a very quiet place.
Because up there you study with Ben Watt, who you've also worked with quite a lot, haven't
Yeah.
you? Do you and Ben both study the same things, or
Yes, Ben's doing English as well.
and does that study help in what you're doing?
Um,
I mean, does it turn you into poets and things?
no,
like that?
it makes you very critical of your own lyrics, I think.
Right. Shall we have an example of some of your lyrics? This is Plain Sailing. All right, here we go. Jolly good. I enjoyed that one. Actually, we were talking all the way through it, weren't we? It's a terrible thing to admit. That is Plain Sailing, Tracy Thorn's solo single that came out. And Tracy, it's quite interesting that that's a song that you wrote yourself, but both in the Marine Girls and again in Everything But the Girl, you do quite a lot of cover versions of old standards, don't you? Why? How did that start happening?
The Marine Girls have been doing Fever now for quite a long time, last year because it was a song that suited our style. It's always been done quite sparsely, and it was a song we could do quite well with just bass, vocals and a little percussion.
So was it the style that came first and then you discovered the old tunes?
We heard the song and realised how suited it was to our style, I think. I mean, we already sounded like that, and just realised how ideal it would be to do.
What do you think of other people who do some old songs as well? Like there's Carmel, isn't there, who has had a few EPs and even a mini LP released of similar, I suppose, more jazzy flavoured songs, in fact. What do you think of her?
I think, well, the idea of doing old jazz covers has obviously become quite popular again lately.
Quite hip.
Yeah.
Have you in fact never been tempted though to add a bit more backing to the tracks and all the rest of it? No drummer, for example, in the Marine Girls, or something like that. Not tempted to perhaps, bring some in for one track?
Well,
or
we did
something
bring in
like
a saxophone.
Yeah.
Hello, Tim.
that? The saxophone was a major departure, was it? That's right.
Yeah, I mean, that's a real big step for us.
It was. We just like the really sparse
We
sound.
just like
It's
him,
something we've
really.
always really liked.
Is it very easy to get that sparse sound, or is it something that
It's
takes
as if you've
hours?
only got two guitars.
Just thinking of the recording side of it, it must be quite easy to record an album, but then
Yes.
you can get hypercritical as well, I would imagine.
No,
we record
don't.
very quickly.
Good,
Very quickly.
Right, you have to come into this studio one day, you get a remarkable sound in here.
I think we've got the hang of it now, though.
Yeah, I think,
haven't we?
can you hear us,
We're
Mother?
actually-
Yeah,
we're
you can
actually
hear us
hearing
now, that's good.
Lyrically, I think the songs you decide to cover, are terrific, aren't they? Was that one of the attractions as well, just how well they used to write lyrics in those days?
Night and Day, probably. Yeah, that's got marvellous lyrics. Yeah, very cleverly written.
Yeah, I think it's terrific, actually. And Fever, those are good, aren't they?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you like them?
Look, I think they're quite
Fever are
tongue-in-cheek
good.
when we do them.
Yeah.
It's quite...
How serious are they? Because, in fact, there's no element of spoof that comes over, or, taking the rise out of it almost by doing a version. Are you never tempted to do that? You say you think Fever's quite tongue-in-cheek, really?
I don't think I'd want to do something that was very obviously a spoof, because that would imply that you didn't really like the song in the first
right.
place. So, I mean, we like the song, we like the sound of it, but just the lyrics have perhaps become a little dated. That's why I think it's tongue-in-cheek now.
Tracy, how does the whole thing relate between the Marine Girls, Everything But the Girl, and solo releases from you? I mean, are you a Marine Girl, or are you Tracy Thorn, or part of Everything But the Girl?
The Marine Girls was what I was doing first. That was really my introduction to music with the Marine Girls. And then when I went up to Hull was when I branched out into other things, simply because I was up there on my own. And it just seemed natural to continue with music.
They all do seem to
But on my
correlate,
own.
actually. Musically, they're in a similar area all the time,
Yes.
aren't
Yeah, that's probably true.
they? What do the people at Brighton and Hull feel about these sort of becoming famous people in their midst? Indeed, in Hatfield as well, I hasten to add.
Thank you.
I think people in Hull tend to be a little wary of us because they think we're perhaps going off and doing famous things, but
I don't think
a lot
anyone
of people are
Brighton
quite
knows.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you're going off and doing famous things?
No, not really.
No.
Not at all.
I mean, it
One-
just seems like doing things and it kind of stems from an interest.
Yes.
And it's really amazing when you kind of get someone kind of going, "Go!" You know, and it just seems...
People ask for your autograph, it just seems ridiculous.
That's a bit mind-blowing, isn't it? John
have
Peel,
to laugh.
yeah, John
otherwise
Peel
it
always asks people
gets
who
us
ask him for his autograph, ask them for theirs as well. Do a swap at least. I think he's got the biggest collection of unknown autographees in the history. You're doing some live work, obviously, at the moment, aren't you? Because you were on stage very recently.
Yes.
What-
Thursday
what-
night we played the Lyceum.
Where-
14 orange juice.
That should have been good. Where can people see you in the near future? As we're into a sort of holiday period. You're racking
Doing
your
anything
brains.
else
It's gonna be a
now.
while. It's obviously going to be a while before you do
Yeah, the
some
next
Well,
gig
it
I
is-
think is actually in May.
Because I'm going to Venice on Monday.
Was that a holiday or a...
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
This is pretty good. Everyone's going away from me at the moment. We're just going to America.
You're going to
Back on
Bristol, Andy.
Saturday.
All right, thanks for all of you for coming in today. I think
Thank you.
we hopefully will have a word with Ben another time. He's actually come along with you but not spoken on the wireless. We'll get him in and talk to him another time. 2 tracks now, featuring all the people here. First of all, we've got a bit of Tracy and then a bit of Marine Girls, and I think you'll like both of them. It's 7 minutes to 5.